Yamajugo arrives on an artificial island known as the Special Student Zone after being banished and disowned by his father, and is relieved to be free. When he arrives at his rented flat, he's surprised by Ryuga Nanana, a ghost who has taken up residence in Yugo's new room. Yugo performs some research on Nanana and even questions the landlady, Shikimaburo, about her time with Nanana before her death. After playing some games with her to decide who's the master of Yugo's room and hurting his arm in the process, Nanana reveals that she was formerly an explorer and a member of the Great Seven Club. Yugo even learns about Nanana's collection, a collection of extraordinary jewels strewn throughout the island. Back in his room, Yugo uncovers a hidden chamber in the bathtub holding a Kanju Kasumi pamphlet titled Nanana Manual, Kasumi left as a last resort. In addition to presenting information on Nanana and the Adventure Club, Monstery, a phantom thief gang steals an item from one of the buildings late at night. Yugo observes a little parachute containing a small box and a transponder while returning from a convenience shop. While Yugo and Nanana now return to his room, they discover the box contains a blue gem known as the light-up lie detector, which is part of Nanana's collection. Yukihime and Shu, members of the Matsuri gang, argue over the failed theft since the diamond is nowhere to be found. Sensei, a teenage investigator, examines the homicide site with her assistant, Daruku, the following morning and meets her top suspect, Yugo, in his room. In the course of her inquiry, Tensei looked at surveillance videos from convenience stores and even covertly unlocked Yugo's phone. Yugo hands up the box holding the diamond after viewing the evidence that he's a thief. Sensei was arrested the following morning and accused of stealing the diamond. Tensei and Daraku will soon move to Yugo's school. Isshin Yuiga, the head of the adventure group, invites Yugo to join his club after being enticed by Yu, dressed as a maid. Nanana discloses to Yugo, after Yuiga's encounter with Nanana, that the murderer who killed her had a dragon mark on the back of her neck, and Yugo offers to assist her in finding the perpetrator. Yuiga puts Yugo, Tensei, and Daraku to the test the following day with a ruin. Sensei solves the ruin's problem, but all three pass and become formal members of the organization, despite Yugo's efforts to brute force the assignment with his strength and energy. Yuiga makes tea for the three using the collection item, the teapot that requires no leaves, which was initially found in the treasure chest of the test ruin. After playing one of Nanana's games, she provides Yugo a tip on where he can find an item from her collection, and the Adventure Club finds the treasure at the Rising Building retail complex. Tensei can see through the mirror and use his forced perspective tactics to pinpoint the precise location of the trial. The three people charged with obtaining the object are Yuga, Yugo, and Tensei. When they go inside the chamber, equipment starts whirring and creating a labyrinth of tubes. They swiftly recognize the maze's danger, and Yugo saves Tensei's life. They're able to reach the treasure box by combining Yugo's and Yukihime's agility with Tensei's puzzle-solving abilities. Yuga betrays Tensei and Yugo after acquiring the wealth, leaving them stuck in the midst of the chamber. Yugo tells Tensei that he has summoned the cops to rescue them. As they're having a moment atop the box, two police officers arrive to assist them, and Yugo is detained for interrogation. It turns out the police officers are from Matsuri. Back at Yugo's, Nanana tells that Yuga received the Wizard's King, which gave the bearer any desire, while Tensei informs Yugo that she has located Yuga and plans to sell the king to Akaku Shinju, the Great Seven's leader. Kosumi leaves Nanana in a flashback, admitting she witnessed her destiny in the future, revealing a mirror. Yugo pairs up with Yukihime to reclaim the Wizard's Cane from Yugo while Matsuri member Shu distracts Tensei. Yugo gives Yukihime the light-up lie detector diamond in return. Yuga hoped to rule Akaku with the cane and become the island's most powerful man, but both parties battle, and Yugo gets pushed away as a result of Yuga's cane spells until the cane's power is abruptly deactivated. Yugo explains the cane's limitations and informs Yuga that he didn't consider the fault since he thought it was the most powerful item. Yugo is about to run at Yugo when his other helper, Kagetora, intervened. Yuga's troop is able to flee, only to be besieged by Tensei's army, who is acting as a Kaku's messenger. Later, Yuga meets with Yugo and apologizes for his actions. Yugo urges Yuga not to betray them again. As he walks away, Yugo returns home to see Tensei waiting for him. Sensei was surprised to learn of Yugo's relationship with Matsuri when she installed the hacking program on his phone the first day she visited his house. She does not, however, report him to the authorities since she needs a competitor and chooses to dwell near his room. Yugo gets a call from his father after she departs, and they talk about Yugo's selfish notion of not helping others despite his abilities. Yugo, enraged, retorts and hangs up. When he returns to his room, he admits that he handed Yukiheim a fake Nanana but seemed to be okay with it and trusted him with locating the bad guy on her behalf. Yugo feeds the Adventure Club supper with proceeds from the Wizard's Cane's forced sale and then advises that they all go on an overnight excursion to a local hot springs known to contain ruins. Nanana refuses to give Yugo another tip since it would take away from the joy of the quest. Yukiheim makes contact with Yugo, and they meet at the local cafe where she tries to persuade him to return to Matsuri, but he refuses, and Yukiheim cuts off communication. Yugo returns home to see Tensei, Duraku, and Shiki playing video games with Nanana. Shiki also sends Yugo the utility settlement, which boasts an astronomical electrical bill owing to Nanana's 24-hour gaming habit, and reminds him that he must pay the utilities by the end of the week or he would be ejected. Yugo discovers the guild, which provides covert occupations to augment the island's modest part-time income. Yugo gets a lucrative delivery job in the Tsukiyomi district where he meets True, who assists him in navigating the dangerous neighborhood to the drop-off spot. Yugo meets Tetsuyun and Sister, the Three Skulls organization leader there. Sister threatens Yugo but instructs Tatsu to escort him out of the base if a raid occurs. In the midst of the pandemonium, Yugo discovers that he was never paid for the delivery and is forced to sell Nanana's games to pay for his utility payment. When the Adventure Club arrives at the Hot Springton town, Yugo vows to track down the area's specialty pudding in order to make up with Nanana for selling her games. Yugo meets Kagetora in the hot springs who apologizes for the prior attack. Yugo notices Yukiheim in the hotel, much to his astonishment, but she ignores him. Yugo, who claims to be a noisy snorer, asks for a separate room. When everyone is given their rooms, Yuka discusses the floor plan of the abandoned home with the ruins over supper. Since Kagetora has already verified that the unique key opens the entrance, Sensei is able to find the room of the ruins using just the floor plans, and the club agrees to meet in the local hotel lobby at 10 a.m. Yugo meets Tensei and Duraku the following morning after learning from an employee that Yuga has already departed from the residence and has gotten a jump on the trial. The area turns out to be an agility problem, complete with locked stepping stones and a water trap below. Sensei is dubious to Yugo's rapid approach to the chamber given that Kagetora is still having difficulty despite his head start. Yugo opens the chest, which clears the area and exposes a plush cat within, only to find that the security locker where the cat was kept is now vacant. They interrogate the hotel personnel and other visitors but come to a halt with Yugo supporting Yukiheim until Tensei presents proof that Shu pretended to be a maid in order to steal the item and hide it in the laundry. Sensei confronts Yugo on the train home, assuming he collaborated with the Matsuri couple to steal Nanana's collection item and leaked the ruin site for money to pay for the utilities. Back in room 202, however, Nanana reveals that the stuffed cat is not part of her collection, and as a result, she locks Yugo out for selling the games. Nanana grudgingly forgives Yugo when he pledges to purchase more games and the gourmet pudding Yugo shipped to the flat arrives. The genuine Nanana's collected treasure from the hot spring ruins, an exquisite golden steak, was also buried in the pudding box. Yugo opted to travel to the ruins at night to secure the treasure first, replacing it with the plush cat toy decoy since Yukiheim was also at the hot springs and may have overheard the adventure club's supper preparations. Sensei and Daraku come in the doorway, and Sensei promises Yugo that she will not reveal him despite overhearing the confession. After all, everything to gain an edge should be fair game when it comes to obtaining Nanana's collection. Later, Nanana counsels Yugo, who is still suffering from the fact that despite the underground's unwritten laws, Yukiheim attempted to take Yugo's collection item. Nanana consoles Yugo after seeing him weep at Yukiheim's treachery and advises him to try to alter the situation before getting sad.